Hi, I wanted to shine some light, literally as I swirl around here, on a subject that is very meaningful to a lot of people. And those people that I'm referring to are empaths. So let's start at the very beginning, though. So, hi, I'm Camber. Welcome to my channel. And a little housekeeping. Hey, so please subscribe, hit the bell, because I really want to grow this community into something spectacular, something that we can all appreciate and make use of. And so I'm going to initiate something really fun today that it's already been around. I'm going to switch out so you can see my soul. So there's no tint in my glasses. Um, Initiate Cambiology. So just for clarification, as I mentioned, I'm Camber. And so ology is something you might have related to, or you might relate to numerology, which is something likened to what 100 years ago it feels like. So ology is, it simply means that it's a arm of knowledge. And so with all of these years, I have the ability to say that I'm Camberology. So I actually have a bucket of knowledge, which is my purpose in life is to share it with you. So we're going to commence today here with on YouTube with Camberology. And one of the main subject of Camberology has always been, will always be, as far as I know, is it's about healing your heart and your soul, healing your splintered soul. So a little description about that. So once you took your first breath, the first breath you took began your life, and you began interpreting what was happening around you, all around you. Yes, the first breath you took, you began to intake information. You know, like some babies, it doesn't matter where you're born, you're going to learn that language. Like the brain is amazing. The cells in your body are even more intelligent than the brain can be with the millions of things the cells do. And so once you took your first breath, you began to ingest and to disseminate different, or did your best to assimilate information that was happening to you. And along the way, you got some bruises and some bumps, or you had some tragedies or some traumas, and that splinters your soul. And once the soul gets a splinter or is splintered, and it doesn't leave, it doesn't move through you, it gets stuck in you. So, what we're talking today about is becoming more mindful, more mindful so that you're more able to really enjoy your life to the maximum potential and therefore become the best you ever. And if things are perceived as they have been perceived for years, then things can get dusty, they can get outdated. So, what I'm intending to do is provide you with a perspective, a different perspective, a different viewpoint to help you breathe deeper, to bring some fresh air to some old situations, and thereby creating a fundamental beginning that will launch you into a more happy and elegant state of being alive. So that's what Camberology is all about, and my coaching and consulting work. So let's start with that. So um, one thing that we've done that we're going to do better to kind of change up is that we in this process of becoming human and growing into our years, when we get shamed or we get embarrassed, if we get our hearts broken by somebody, if our parents aren't the best, um, then we splinter from our soul and we begin to create a story, and that story becomes to become our identity. So in this particular case today, I was inspired to talk about um, the uh, the people who are born and raised typically with alcoholics or with people who party a lot or use a lot of drugs. These people have been clinically termed now as empaths, and empaths uh, talk about having splintered, from your soul and having to create safety around you. Empaths become an empath, which means you're very hypersensitive to everything that's going on around you, like really hypersensitive. And empaths can become very accustomed to cocooning. to staying out of the way of other people. They become very shy if they speak their mind. And if it's confrontational or if it's pushing the envelope for another person, they don't want to do that. Some empaths go so far as to become so sensitive that they can show signs of this with strangers in public just by entering into certain conditions or environments in, let's say, a grocery store or a party or a concert. Empaths can, if they don't manage, if they don't learn to manage, then all of the hypersensitivity to trying to take care of themselves really shows up. And it really puts a damper. A lot of time the empath just wants to stay home, and have a beer, smoke a lot of pot, and stay numb, and not deal with their life, and begin to own it. And so you want to have toolkit, because sensitivity will keep you at bay from being authentic. And you don't want that. You want to come back home again, right? You want to come home and be all that you can be without worrying about some other bully's idea of what you should do, whether that bully is a parent, or that bully is your boss, or that bully is your lover that you're camping out with. You can begin to change this by becoming mindful about your empathic degrees or about your sensitivity. So in this Cambiology 101 today, I want you to begin to understand that initially, when things are happening to you, whether they're good or bad, they're just things that are happening. There's, a trite old saying that says, don't take it personal, which is usually used in a derogatory kind of content. But in this case, it's absolutely a spiritual truth. By not taking something personally, which you have to learn how to be centered when something is coming at you, by not taking it personally and understanding that another human being, right, another person can only give you what they have. So if you're a parent, again, we're talking about the empath and their needs. If your parent was, due to whatever situation, was a heavy user of narcotics or of alcohol or any other drug, and they would come home, the child, at a very early age, right? So you're a child from the moment you take a breath to you're about 8.5. You are a child. No ifs, ands, or buts. After that, you go into another stage of your life. But that child begins to interpret, oh, I better keep a low profile. My dad or my mom will shout or yell at me. I need to read them when they come into the house or my bedroom to be able to establish how I'm going to behave, and maybe I can ask today for those shoes that I need for school, or maybe I can get my books, or maybe I shouldn't. I should wait till tomorrow. There's this exaggerated, very, youthful, immature, because you're so far from being able to use all your faculties properly at establishing what you need to be concerned with. But when you carry it with you into your adulthood, it can have a really, really systematic, dramatic, compounding issue on you becoming safe at being who you are and entering into a controversial situation. So, as a child, or as a person who's not quite mindful or aware of how these energies work, everything is an energy, right? All these atoms are working, all these cells are making up decisions, and you are developing your personality and your identification. If you then have your insult or your worry or your scare or your trauma get stuck inside of your heart, right? And your heart, it has a brain unto itself. Your heart has a brain, your body has a brain, and your soul is managing in the background all of this. So what I want you to do today is become aware that nothing is personal. Anything your boss may say in criticism, or your teacher, your professor, your neighbor, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, even your dog. Well, dogs are like God, right? They don't really have an opinion, but unless they bite you. Um, but it's not personal. Even the dog isn't personal. The dog is just responding based on what the dog is, right? If the dog is violent or mean, the dog's going to respond. Same with parents. But when you get to a new stage of your beautiful humanness, and you have all the potential in the world, all of it is inside of your body, then you decide that you're not going to let something get stuck inside you anymore. What I want you to do is I want you to practice letting things move through you. Yes, I want it to move through you like everything does. Even though you're looking out from your eyes are attracting, are dealing with the light fragments. You're making an impression with your brain about all the images and the reality that you know. And then you're making a decision, right? You're making a decision every single day, whether you're walking down the steps from in your home or you're getting into your car or you're handling your child. Decisions are made every second, right? In the dream state, you're doing stuff. In the live awake state, you're doing stuff. Let it move through you. Now, more pointedly today, I want you to try something, to consider something. Memories, it kind of helps to have visual, come back to you about a time or a place, like maybe you're driving and you end up in an old neighborhood you formerly lived in, and suddenly the memory of that those days is alive for a second. If they were not positively helpful to you, then I want you to let it, put your left hand, because energy moves through your left hand and it comes out through your right hand. It's kind of, that's the way it works, right? Energy work. So your chest, your heart is in the middle of your chest, basically. It's not over here. It's basically somewhat in the middle. Put your hand on your heart and and remember that moment, and remember that it, then when you bring it back, I want you not to personalize it. I want you to depersonalize that situation, and know that you are a child of God, that you are a child of this magnificent universe. You are a baby on the planet, right? No matter if you're 100 or you're 5 or you're 50, you are a very, very significant human being in the grand scheme of things. And you want to begin to detox your heart. That's what we're doing right here, right now. We're detoxing your heart and therefore your soul. And when that insult or that bruise or that breakup with that jerk or that lovely dance with that person you fell in love with and maybe it's not in your life anymore, instead of letting it be stuck, I want you to put your hand on your heart, and you can do it while you're cruising or while you're walking or while you're brushing your teeth. You can still put your hand on your heart. Know that the energy is moving through you, right? Let it go, and then let it flow out of your hand into the thin air, as they might say, right? Let it move into thin air and get out of your body, because your body is your temple. And if it's holding a bunch of toxic information, you're not doing it any good, right? I want you to lean in, and I want you to know that you no longer have to have a traffic jam of hurts in your body. If you do, the more hurts that you have that you're not shining a light on, the more likely you are to have arthritis or heart disease or bad relationships, right? Because you're a vibrating being, which is based on thought and histories that have stacked on top of one another, creating a vibrational system within you. By making these adjustments of being mindful, and remembering that if your father or your mom is just pushing the envelope, that it's not personal, or it wasn't personal then. If it's coming up for you, then let it move through you and let it go. Now, there's different traumas that have different degrees of healing that are necessary. I mean, I'm quite clear with that, and I know you are as well. So we just want to take one step at a time in this Cambiology by getting you more fit. So we want to get you fit by remembering that these things, that memories that might have haunted you, if you happen to have a memory, I know I have, that just seems to regurgitate itself, and there doesn't seem to be any apparent reason to you why you reflect on this moment. It might have been with a lover, an evening, a moment with a lover, or a moment with a teacher, or with any number of people in your life. Well, if it's coming up, and yet it wasn't bad or good, there is something about the moment that has lodged in your body. So, what I want you to do is that I want you to put your hand on your heart, and I want you to understand how powerful you are. I mean, how loving you are, right? The power comes from your love, and that you're willing to give yourself a breath. Take a nice deep breath, remembering who you are, that you are a divine human being who deserves the best ever. But you must befriend yourself. So if you are indeed falling in love with yourself and it's a new day, it's like you're a born again fall in love, then you put your hand on your heart, the moment is recalled, and I bet if you practice this, I'll bet my bottom dollar that you won't holla anymore. You'll begin to sing instead of holla. So you let the energy, you can feel the warmth from your hand too. When you put your hand on your chest, I hope I'm not screwing this mic up at all. You can feel the warmth from your soul and from your heart. And I want you to get detached anymore. I want you to come home and begin to breathe into your heart so that you have a new stage of vibrational capacity that allows more abundant good fortune into your life. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get more good fortune in your life as you open your heart chakra. It's called a chakra, and you begin to love what's going on. If you're sitting in traffic, put your hand on your heart and go, I know I'm in the right place at the right time, and this is good. This is God. Show me the good of this right now. And begin to practice being in a centered state of mind, healing any of these flashes that begin to come before you. And slowly but surely, you will become more well off. As you become more well off, what's going to happen is more beauty is going to come into your life. You're going to if you currently are living in a place that doesn't have a lot of beautiful flowers and beautiful view and things around, as you do this practice of being mindful, you will slowly increase the opportunities will come to you that allow you to move or to improve the environment you're in, because that is the nature of love, right? This is heaven on earth. It's got said in all the major prayers, and yet we kept putting it off, being somewhere. It's about being here right now. And the same way that when you got here, you took a breath as we bring this session to an end, it will be when you take your last breath. So the breath is not a joke. The breath is the place. The breath and the conversation, your word, is the beginning of creating a more thriving condition for you and for me, for our city, for our planet, and for our families, for everything, for the galaxy, right? It's if we're all connected, then let's start practicing mindfulness. Thank you, Caitlin Crest, for the thumbs up and the purple heart. And and if you know somebody who's an empath, reach out, ask them to come on to Camber Hill's YouTube. Ask them to hit the bell, click the bell, subscribe so you get noticed when I come on. Because I am gonna work with you, and we're gonna build a really dynamic and interesting tomorrow, 1 minute at a time, as we let go of the past and we start creating the future. It's going to be the most dynamic situation we have ever experienced. And we're going to do it as a tribe. We're going to do it as a tribe in Cambiology. So thanks for taking your time. Again, please work with me. Work with me. Please work with me over here and hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get notices when I go live, and share this with your friends. And to all the empaths, begin to mind your business, begin to pull it in, and to understand that you have a right to really be happy and to be healthy. And you don't want everybody else's energy moving through you. You want to manage your energy that's moving through you, right? Manage your business. That's why it's mind your business, not meaning don't be curious and don't stick your nose in other people's business. That's derogatory. That's not cool. No, it's just minding the business of your life because you're worth it. Okay? So namaste, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very shortly. Bye for now.